Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was created in the Am I Wrong subreddit in early 2024. The post is titled, "Am I wrong for ending a 20-year marriage because I learned my wife cheated on me while we were dating? My wife, 44F, and I, 43M, have been married for 20 years. We started dating in high school when I was a junior and she was a senior. We were long distance for her first 2 years of college while I was in high school and did 1 year at community college. Then we went to college in the same city for a year and have lived together since. We got married the summer after I graduated from college. Our marriage has been pretty great so far, but I initiated a divorce after I discovered that she was sleeping with multiple other men for the 2 years we were long distance. Just after Christmas, we got together with a few friends of hers from college to catch up, have dinner, and hang out. We talked about a lot of stuff, and my wife mentioned that we met in high school. Not that we dated, just that we met. Her old college roommate commented that it was crazy that we met in high school, had a few wild years in college, and then ended up together. I played along and commented that I didn't know if my wife was as crazy as I was. The roommate started to tell a story, but my wife cut her off and said she was uncomfortable about it. I sensed something was up, so I said that we actually started dating in high school and were together for my wife's entire time at college. All of my wife's friends got really quiet and the rest of the dinner was awkward. On the way out, one of her other roommates took me aside and said I should have an honest conversation about what happened in college. I asked my wife on the way home and she kind of blew me off. I told her it was important that she was honest with me, and again, she said it wasn't important. When we got home, I told her I was going to stay at my brother's house until she was ready to talk about what happened in college. The next day, she came over and admitted to sleeping with several men during her first 2 years at college. She said she didn't consider it a big deal at the time because we were long distance and she didn't think a high school romance would last. I pressed for more details and she said it was at least 10 different men, including at least 3 guys she introduced to me as friends when I came to visit on weekends, and 1 guy she was still in contact with. I told her that I wanted a divorce and would be starting the paperwork as soon as I could, which I did on January 2nd. Her family and most of my family are telling me I shouldn't throw away my marriage over a few mistakes. I've stood by my belief that cheating on me with multiple men for years is unacceptable no matter when it happened, and the fact that she continued to maintain relationships with these guys right in front of me was an unacceptable amount of disrespect. We have 2 children, but they are 17 and 19, and I believe they will understand why I need to end the marriage. Am I wrong for leaving? I feel like I'm going crazy with the number of people telling me to overlook years of infidelity and decades of lies. Edit, holy shit. I'm glad I did this with a throwaway because the response here is unexpected. I obviously can't answer every comment, but I wanted to provide some detail for common questions. The reason I posted this is that my wife and a few friends have been saying it's common to sleep with other folks when you're in a long distance relationship, and that I'm kind of the odd one out for not sleeping around. I felt like I was being gaslit, but I wanted an outside perspective. We live in a state with a waiting period to finalize a divorce, so I felt it was a reasonable idea to get some insight before things are finalized. After these comments, I see a handful of folks saying it's normal to sleep around during a long distance relationship, but it seems to be a significant minority. We saw each other a couple of weekends a month during the 2-year college period. I lived about 3 hours away from her college, so it was long distance but not like cross country. This was not a situation where we went months without seeing each other. The 3 guys I met while she was in college were meetups that happened during parties. The subject of me being a boyfriend didn't really come up, so I honestly don't know if these guys knew anything. The 1 guy we're still in contact with married a mutual friend from college. This is not some guy she secretly messages on the side, it's somebody we've talked to regularly for years. I've talked to him a few times since I've learned about my wife. He said he didn't know we were dating at the time and has since blocked my wife on social media. Some folks have asked how the roommates didn't realize at our wedding that the timelines didn't work out. The main reason is that my wife and I had a very small ceremony with just close family in Texas, then went back to the East Coast to have a big party with friends. The typical reception sharing details about how we met stuff didn't really happen, so her roommates didn't realize we started dating before college. It sounds like they thought we only dated for the year we were both in the same city, then moved in together. I was open to therapy or some kind of attempt to save save the marriage, but her insistence that this whole thing is common and I'm the one who's out of line is just too much for me. The only time she showed any remorse or even offered to reconcile is when I started filing paperwork. In the last week, she's gone back to saying she's right and I'm overreacting. This is also why I feel like I'm being gaslit. It seems obvious that this is a major issue, but I've got my wife and others telling me it's normal and I'm overreacting. I'm not getting a paternity test unless my kids want to get one. I don't have any doubts that they are biologically mine, and no test will make them not my kids. I love them more than anything in the world, and my wife's infidelity won't change that even if one or both of them is not biologically mine. They've been my kids for 19 years, and they will be my kids until I stop breathing. Final edit. Hey all, I've been reading a bunch of the responses, but things are getting crazy and increasingly unhinged, so I probably won't be checking in more. Here are a few more answers to common questions I've seen. We were definitely exclusively dating at the time. First, dating culture was a lot different 20-ish years ago, and exclusive was kind of the default for most people. Second, we had a long and difficult discussion before she left for college about continuing the relationship long distance. She specifically wanted to stay together and even joked about her dad coming after me if I started sleeping around with girls at my school. Finally, at my senior prom, she was not able to attend and was very upset when I proposed going with a platonic female friend of mine. As a result, I ended up skipping my prom and hanging out with her instead. While we never said the word exclusive, I think the above reasons combined with the general relationship before she left are enough to assume exclusivity. Based on some comments here, I followed up with the friend that said I should have an honest conversation. She told me that 10 guys would be on the low end and that her biggest concern was that there was apparently at least one pregnancy scare that I didn't know about. I honestly don't think that really changes much. It's less about the number for me and more about the fact that she seems incapable of recognizing why this was wrong or why I feel betrayed. Thank you all for the helpful responses, even those that disagree with me. I will still be open to therapy if she's willing, but I honestly feel like it would be more about us being successful co-parents and finding closure than saving our marriage. Holy shit. OP got cheated on over 10 times. That is completely crazy. If I were OP, I'd proceed with the divorce. Long distance still means that you two are together. To me, this just sounds like if OP's wife has the opportunity to quote-unquote safely cheat on her husband, she's gonna do it. She's just a really scummy person, and it irritates me so much that she said she doesn't see what was wrong with the cheating. 20 years is a long time, but I don't think I can overlook something like this. I hate using this example because it oozes toxic red pill energy, but this woman is really giving off the I want to sleep around and have fun while I'm young, but also have a loyal and respectful man to come home to later on. This woman is definitely gaslighting OP. It is absolutely not normal to sleep around, even in a long distance relationship. User OKEducator7097 said, she cheated and lied to you then, maintained contact with at least one of her buddies and introduced you to many of the guys that were banging her. That is not only dishonest but cruel. I think you are 100% in the right. Who knows what else she's done? You have no way of knowing. Under this comment, user Alex DeLunar said, yeah, that's the part that stuck with me most as well. My marriage ended primarily due to my ex cheating on me. The part that hurt most was that it was with her coworker, someone she made quick friends with and someone who was trying to be friends with me too. We had him and his wife over to hang out and just him over on multiple occasions. Cheating sucks either way, but to be so brazen about it by waving your affair partner in front of your partner's face is something else. Certainly made me feel like a tool. I wish you the best, OP. Don't let anyone tell you it's not so bad because it was a long time ago. She chose to keep it a secret and would have continued doing so. I guess she didn't feel that guilty about it. That's not someone you can trust. User Static Cloud said, if she slept around in college and told you about it and you reconciled, no issue there, but she kept it from you. She kept in contact with one. She introduced you to her flings as friends at the time. That's completely messed up. You are right to divorce her. She lied to you for 20 years. She does not respect you now or then. User Mi Nombre es Ricardo said, 10 guys can no longer be described as a few mistakes. User I'll See You Pay said, if she wants to do the work to remain in your life in any capacity, that's up to you guys. You should absolutely do what you need to do to feel comfortable with your way forward. She robbed you of your agency for 20 years and then invited people who had violated you into your life. I don't blame you for feeling whatever way you do. I hope you and your children can navigate this as well as possible, and if there is a way you can live happily in whatever capacity with your wife, then I'm all for that too. Do what's best for you. how anyone else feels. Wishing you the best. User Humble Nobody 2884 said she lied to you and you got married under false pretenses. If that wasn't enough, she tried to gaslight you when her friends caught on to her lies. But the icing on the cake, she introduced you to the guys she slept with, and she's still in contact with one. That's just plain insulting. Massively disrespectful all around, and you're completely within reason for feeling and acting as you did. Whether you're able to move past it or not is totally for you to decide. User Hey Wait Dude said the fact that she kept in contact with some of them and literally introduced you to guys she was under your nose is humiliating and makes you a non-consenting cuckold. She's lucky all you can do to her is divorce. She is worth much less decency. A deleted user said, how is banging 10 different dudes, 3 of which you met as her friends' mistakes? The marriage has become a sham. Not wrong. Edit. I saw the 2 updates that OP posted and I feel bad for him. I wish him all the best and please be assured, my friend, you are not wrong. Sleeping around in college can be a thing, but not when you're in a true relationship with someone and you truly care for that person. Again, I wish him the best. Maybe I'll find out how he is doing after all the dust has settled. About a month later, OP provided us with an update. I wanted to provide some updates here as my original post got a lot of traction. TLDR version, my wife and I are seeing a couples counselor and have been to 3 sessions now. Based on what my original post outlined and what we've talked about in counseling, I'm still moving forward with the divorce. I believe that counseling was the right move and I appreciate folks for recommending it. I don't think it's going to save our marriage, but it has helped me communicate my feelings, help my wife understand where I'm coming from, and most importantly, helped us be in a position to work together as co-parents. First, let's talk about the things I learned about the situation in college. After talking to my wife in sessions and texting with 2 of her roommates, it's clear that her roommates knew something was up in college. They said they thought the situation was weird and likely involved cheating. My wife had told them that we both had some wild times in college and worked it out before we got married, so they never really brought it up. The roommate who pulled me aside recently was uncomfortable with the fact that my wife clearly didn't talk it through with me and wanted me to know. As far as being introduced to guys she slept with, apparently that was not intended. For one of the guys, he ended up dating and then marrying one of our mutual friends from college. This is the guy she was in contact with. In the other situations, she initially blamed me in the counseling session, but has now agreed it was bad. When I went to visit her, she planned to hang out in the room or just hang out together alone, but I wanted to go to a few parties because in high school and community college, I didn't really have parties to go to. She didn't expect me to meet the guys, but they were at the parties, and she felt she didn't really have a choice. I still think this is kind of shitty, but it's not as bad as her intentionally parading me in front of the guys. Most of our discussion in therapy has been talking about why I think it's a big deal and she doesn't. She initially said that none of these guys were in relationships with her and it was mostly one-night stands or friends with benefits. Since she didn't view them as romantic relationships, she didn't see the big deal. Her words, not mine. My opinion is that we never said that was okay, and she actively prevented me from doing the same. After digging into this across 2 sessions and my wife talking to some friends, she now agrees that it was a breach of our trust and relationship. This shared understanding has helped us talk about this situation more honestly and helped us get from arguing to talking, which is why I'm optimistic about co-parenting. Now, here's why I'm 100% set on divorce. 2 things came up that make me want to leave the marriage. First, about 10 years ago, we went through a really rough patch and had a dead bedroom for about 2 years. She had expressed that our life was becoming boring, so I tried to spice things up. Nothing crazy, just roleplay and Spencer's Gifts level toys. Apparently, she had been hung up on some experiences that happened in college that she is not comfortable talking about and wanted me to try them, but when I did, it made her feel awkward and guilty that it made her think of other men while she was with me. The fact that she's saying these experiences were meaningless but they're still impacting our marriage tells me they meant more than she wants to say. Second, she admitted that she has been flirting with coworkers on business trips since the pandemic ended. She says she has never slept with anybody, but it got as far as going on a date with one of her male coworkers. That was the absolute deal breaker for me. We have told our children that we're getting a divorce. We told them it was due to some bad decisions that we made in college that we're having trouble moving past. My 19-year-old who is in college asked me if I cheated on my wife while she was away at college. My wife got a little shaken up, but admitted to the kids that she's the one who cheated. We have agreed not to share any additional details with the kids. I reinforced that both of us will be there for the kids and that we are in therapy to help make sure we handle this in the best way for the family. I also told the kids that if they wanted to talk to either of us or a therapist about it, I would fully support it. We've started talking to a mediator about how to proceed with the divorce, and unless things change, we should be able to have an amicable divorce. We're both financially stable on our own, we have no major debts, and our kids are older, so custody isn't a major issue. This has been a shitty couple of months for me, but I'm doing okay now, and I honestly am grateful that my last post blew up because it both validated some of my feelings and motivated me to go to counseling with my wife. Edit: a couple of things to add in response to comments. I know she probably cheated more than she has admitted. Once our dead bedroom situation from years ago and a date with a coworker came up, I accepted that this has probably been going on at some level for our whole marriage. I'm not glossing over that because I'm an idiot who believes she's telling the whole truth. I have enough truth to know this is the right decision and that it was more than just college. Adding more detail won't change anything. In this post, the last post, and in a lot of messages, people keep asking if a hall pass would help fix things. It won't. I don't believe that more cheating will solve the trust issues. That may have worked for other people, but I really don't think that's going to help us. My ex and our counselor know about the Reddit posts. I was upfront with both of them about it. I have kept this anonymous enough that I doubt anybody would guess who I really am, and this has helped me process things. In all honesty, seeing both sides of the issue has helped me, and reading the comments on the last post helped my wife better understand some of the frustration and hurt I feel. I don't necessarily believe sharing all these details on Reddit is the healthiest way to handle a situation, but I don't have many close friends I can share with who aren't also mutual friends with my wife. So this is kind of a way to talk through it. Props to those guys who actually had the heart to tell OP about all of the shitty things his wife did in college. This woman is so fucked in the head. I can't believe that she actually thinks having friends with benefits is okay as long as there isn't real love behind the fucking. The fact that she even flirted and went on dates with her coworkers in the last 4 years is absurd. This woman needs to face karma. User Cultured Gentleman 921 said, "You are 100% doing the right thing. She admitted to stuff, but there's way more that she didn't admit to. Guaranteed. I wouldn't be surprised if she already has a guy lined up for when after you separate. I'm sorry you're going through this, buddy, and I hope you can heal and maybe get your mojo back." User Historical Pie 5052 said, "Sorry OP, but this is for the best. She's been keeping you in the dark for over 20 years. If you believe this, then I got to Bridge on Mars to sell you. Dead bedrooms for young couples usually means someone is getting somewhere else." Under this comment, user Dogs and Coffee Addict said, "She wasn't thinking about the college boinks and feeling guilty. She was guilty because she was getting boinks from other people and knew if she admitted to cheating during marriage, all pretenses of cordiality and what I did wasn't that bad would go away, along with any chance of forgiveness, and the kids would have been mad too." Then OP said the following under this comment: "I don't really believe it, but I also don't think it's worth it to dig into it more. I'm going to get an STD panel done to make sure I'm safe, and I really don't need to know anymore. If it was just a date, we're getting divorced. If it was more, we're still getting a divorce, so pushing the issue won't do anything but make it harder for us to co-parent. I'm also reasonably sure that she was cheating during our dead bedroom situation. We were having sex like once every 2 to 3 months, and we usually have 2 to 3 times a week. Again, I have enough to know it's time to move on, and digging more into it will only make the divorce harder." User Nightmare Xander said, "You know what's absolutely crazy about this entire situation? Your wife is going to have more sincere respect for you now than she ever did before, and just as it's too late for your relationship. Good for you, man. This cannot have been easy. Too many people in this situation don't have enough understanding of how this scenario completely undermined the foundation of your entire relationship and the person you believed her to be." User Kelsey Stash said, "Before I read about the coworker thing, I would have said to continue counseling and see if it could be worked out. After reading that, I realized there is no way. I can't imagine you believe it stopped at just a date, which would be enough for me to divorce someone, but I don't buy that's where it ended. Your wife went from what you thought was loyal and loving to a serial cheater in days. That's too much for any man to get past. She should be a complete mess, begging you not to leave her, but it appears that's not the case. She is only going to make things worse for herself too. She will end up sleeping with one of these coworkers if she hasn't already, then the next guy she tries to have a relationship with will find out that she has slept with coworkers on business trips and will nope right out of the relationship. User Goddess of Spite said, once a slapper, always a slapper. She's well been cheating the entire marriage. She just ain't owning it as she knows she couldn't gaslight that away. The fact that the kid automatically asked if he was the one cheating, that would insult the hell out of me. He's well rid of that toxic tart. Under this comment, OP said, to be fair, my 19-year-old daughter had some issues with shitty boyfriends who have either cheated or dumped her suddenly to be with somebody else. I'm also the one who left the house. Given her experience with men and the fact that I'm the one who left the house, it makes sense that would be her first thought. When cheating came up, my wife made it clear that she was the one who cheated. To be honest, I'm not really too concerned about the narrative here. From what I can tell, she hasn't said anything bad about me to our kids. In addition, given her admission of recent flirting and cheating and the fact that she's ready to file a joint amicable divorce after 6 weeks and 3 counseling sessions, I think she was ready to move on before I was. It makes the logistics of the divorce easier, but it hurts a bit to realize she's having an easier time walking away from a 20-year marriage than I am. Another couple of months later, OP gave us their final update. Hey all, this is likely the final update on this account as things have mostly resolved. My wife and I have completed our divorce and everything is official. We had an uncontested, amicable divorce with minimal disagreements. Our lawyers worked together to create the plan through mediation, and a judge signed off on it a few weeks ago. In the end, the actual divorce process was pretty straightforward. The only complication was that our 17-year-old was adamant about my having custody because their relationship with my ex-wife has really fallen apart as a result of this. Initially, my wife dug in her heels and was ready to give up on the uncontested marriage, but my son pretty much told her she could choose between letting him have a break for a few months to process and rebuild, or force him to live with her until he turns 18 and risk never seeing him again. I felt this was a bit harsh, but my wife backed down and we moved forward with my having primary physical custody until my son's birthday later this year. For my part, I have encouraged my son to be open to fixing things, as the actions my ex took before he was born didn't change the 17 years she cared for and loved him. Fortunately, as the divorce moved forward, he has been spending more time with my ex, and I'm optimistic they will work through this. In the end, we pretty much split our retirement and investments 50-50. For our house, my wife really liked the house and I didn't. So she kept the house and most of the furnishings and took out a mortgage to pay me back half of the equity and half of the estimated replacement value of the furniture. Pretty much all of our other stuff was either easy to split, my car and her car, my music gear and her hobbies, clothing, personal effects, etc., or we just agreed to sell it and split the resulting profit. Things were a bit easier for us because we had already documented most of our valuable items and electronics for an insurance rider we added to our home insurance a few years ago. Things have been going well for me personally. Both of the kids spend most of their time at my place and we are still very close, which was my biggest fear in the divorce. I have a new house that I really love and I gave in to the midlife crisis urge and traded in my outdated minivan for a Lexus LC550. I even had a woman at work, not a close coworker, invite me out to a coffee date. While I was upfront with her that I'm not ready to date just yet, she said she would be happy to take a rain check and would be happy to go out with me when I'm ready. I'm honestly thrilled because she's really smart, has a great sense of humor, and our positions at work are far enough apart that we don't really work directly with each other at all. My ex and I are continuing to go through couples counseling together. We have transitioned into having closure on our marriage and making sure we maintain our relationship enough to be effective co-parents. While these sessions have been great to help me process things and keep things as healthy/positive as possible given the circumstances, it has also reinforced that divorce was the right option. It's clear from some answers in the sessions that my wife immediately started dating once the divorce process started, so whatever love was there was clearly on the way out already. I'm pretty sure the coworker she was just friends with dropped her off at our recent session. The fact that it doesn't even really make me mad is a good sign that I was also probably done with the marriage. In the end, it will take a long time for me to heal from the betrayal, but I feel like I'm making good progress, and I can honestly say that the divorce was unquestionably the right decision. I've probably cried more in the last 4 months than I have in the last 20 years, but for the last month or so, I feel genuinely good about myself for the first time in a long time. I'm enjoying having my own life, have been busy getting my 17-year-old ready for college in the fall, and am looking forward to a coffee date with a smart, funny woman in a month or two. User Unique Assumption 619 said, "Hang in there, man. I've been following your story, but you've totally done the right thing by yourself and your son. Give yourself grace as you continue to process, but as you said, you 100% did the right thing. And hey, good for you for having what sounds like a lovely woman waiting for you. If anything, that proves you're not only a good person, but others recognize you'd be a catch of a partner. Keep living life. You'll have loads of ups and downs, but clearly you're smart, capable, and strong. You and your son will come out all right. Time is a great healer." User Satori2155 said, "I mean, I know you don't care at this point, but it's important to remember this wasn't just cheating before marriage. She's cheated on you during the marriage. You need to be absolutely clear about that in your therapy sessions. This new guy didn't just magically appear once you got divorced. I think it's important you recognize the reality of it instead of living in denial." User 19 Lamada S91, "Your wife and her friends, the ones trying to gaslight you, are disgusting whores. Glad you are happy now and your kids took your side. It's too bad she couldn't be sent back to the streets where she belongs. Cheaters are disgusting. There is one big lesson here to learn. I'm going to be sure to teach it to my son when the time comes. No long distance relationships, never." User Historical Pi 5052 said, "Well, not to be a dick, but your ex was dating other people your entire relationship. She's a classic serial cheater. I'd bet she also cheated on you in high school too. It didn't start that first year in college away from you. There has to be something that you let slide when you guys were in high school, but now it looks a lot more shady and inappropriate. I'm glad you gave us another update. I'm sorry you and the kids had to go through this, but it also looks like you put your head in the sand concerning some of your wife's extracurricular activities. I know you guys seemed happy, stable, and you didn't think she'd do this. You trusted her, but she didn't respect you. I wish your family all the best, and I hope you give your coworker a proper date in the near future."